Hi everybody, welcome to Sprint 2. In Sprint 1, we watched Fred and hopefully Alice racing across the screen, and we tried to determine who the winner of that race was. In today's sprint, we're going to see 5 turtles racing across the screen, and again, we're going to try and determine who the winner is. In fact, we're going to say the first turtle to reach the finish line, let's say it's 300 on the x-axis, is going to be the winner. Remember, they start at minus 300 on the x-axis, and we're going to race them all the way to 300. First turtle to get there is going to be declared the winner. To help us process these turtles, let's use a list of turtles. In our list, we can see Max is at index 0, Jess is at index 1, Joe is at index 2, Bo is at index 3, and Fred is at index 4. And we can use the list to help us process each turtle as they're racing across the screen towards the finish line. Now let's jump into our IDE and see how we can do this with Python's turtle library. Okay, so I can see the start point of my program is main. So let's go into main, and the first thing we're going to do is call the setup function. So let's go to setup, create a list of 5 turtles. Okay, so I'm going to create a list called racers, and it's going to be empty at the start. I'm going to create a turtle, and I'm going to append that turtle into the racers list. Now actually, there is an easier way that we can do this. Let's just take this code here. This constructs a turtle. Let's take that and just use that there. Okay, we're appending a turtle into our list. So we don't really need to use a variable to do that. Now we're going to repeat this process 5 times. 2, 3. Wait a minute. We're repeating the same code 5 times. Why don't we do this instead? Okay. So there we go. We've appended 5 turtles into a list called racers. Now what we want to do is move them into a start position. So we're still in the setup function. I'm going to create a new for loop. And let's just focus on the first turtle, racers 0. I'm going to lift up the pen. I'm going to move the turtle, the first turtle, racers 0. Remember, the start line is minus 300. And let's just say on the y-axis, I'm just going to leave that at 0. And then for that first turtle in the list, racers 0, we're just going to put the pen down because now we're ready to race. Okay? Now we don't just want to do this for racers 0, we want to do this for every racer in the list. So let's change the 0 to I. And we don't want every racer to be at y coordinate 0, or the racers will all be on top of each other. We want them to spread them out across the y-axis. So let's use our control variable I to help us do that. When I is 0, this y value is going to be 0. When I is 1, the y value is 40. When I is 2, the y value is 80, etc., etc. Okay? Another thing I want to do, I was looking at the documentation for Python, the website that we looked at in the first sprint, and I'm going to use the shape function to give each turtle a turtle shape. So let's just run the program and see if this is working as expected. Yay! Oh, what? Oh my goodness, what happened there? Oh, that's a 1, isn't it? So turtle 1 was the only one with a turtle shape. Okay. Let's run again. Okay, we've got 5 turtles ready to race. So, we've coded the setup function. Now let's go into the race function. move all turtles while they haven't reached the finish line. So while they haven't won the race, basically. Now, I was thinking about this. This is how I'm going to go about this problem. This is my logic. I'm going to call a function called checkWin. Now, checkWin is going to return true if a turtle has reached 300. The checkWin is going to return true, or it's going to return false if we're still racing. Okay? And while we are still racing, so while this returns false, we're going to move each turtle. Move each racer. Okay, so to do that, we're just going to use a for loop. For I in range 5, racers I dot forward, and we just move them forward a random amount. So random dot randint, let's say anywhere between 10 and 30 units across the screen, okay, in a forward direction. Now, after every racer has just moved forward, they're just going to move forward once each. We just need to check if anybody's won again. So we need to just check it. We're going to ask, did anyone win yet? Right? Because if nobody won, we're going to do this again. We're going to move each racer and check. Move each racer and check. Move each racer and check. So we're just going to call checkWin again. Okay? So this checkWin function is going to return true or false. So, and this variable is going to grab the returned value. So if win grabs false, false is the same as false, yes, we're going to move each racer. We're going to check again. This returns false, win grabs it. False is false, yes, we're going to move each racer. Check-win returns true. Win is now true. True is false. No, that's the end of the race. So eventually we're going to come out of the while loop. That's going to be the end of the race. That's out of the while loop. Okay. Now I need to design this check-win function. So let's just do that. Pretty straightforward function, guys. All we're going to do is loop through the racers list, and if any of the racers has an x-coordinate which is greater than or equal to 300, which is the finish line, then this function checkWin is going to return true. Okay. So the for loop is going to try and visit each racer, and it's going to return true if one of them has reached that value. And if the for loop finishes and we didn't return true, we're out of the loop, we're going to return false, because that means nobody's won yet. Nobody's reached that value yet. Okay? So that's how checkWin works. So let's run the code and see if it works. Oh, we've got an error. What is this error? If racers.xcore is great, racers is not defined. Racers is not defined. Racers is not defined. Yes, it is. I defined it up here. Oh, I declared this variable in the setup function. It's a local variable. But some other functions, the race function, for example, wants to use it, and the checkWin function wants to use it. It needs to be global. So let's do that. Let's make racers global. So racers is now a global variable. Other functions can use it. Let's run the program, see if it works. And they're racing. First one to 300. Go on. Oh, the race stopped. Brilliant. Okay. So the race stopped. Where are we? We were in the race function. We were in this loop. This is when they were moving. And then we came out of the loop, end of race. So the race function is finished. Finished. Now we're going to go into the display result function. So your first challenge today is to see if you can display the name of the winning turtle. Now, I am going to give you one hint on this. I figured this out the other day. It's very entertaining. In my setup function, I'm going to create another list called names. And I'm just going to put in 5 names. They're not going to be the same as these ones. I'm just going to make up some different names. Jeff. Got to make sure Fred's in there, because Fred was one of the original racers. And Alice. Let's put Alice back in there. We'll put in a Shin. And we'll put in a Max. Okay. Now, why am I doing this? What I'm going to do is, for I in range 5, when we're setting up each racer here, what I'm going to do is racers I dot nickname equals names I. So I discovered in Python Turtle, maybe this is just in Python, you can just create a random property. So I'm going to say, okay, every turtle has a nickname. Okay, so racer 0 has a nickname, which is names 0, which is Jeff. So racer 0 is Jeff, racers 1 is Fred, racers 2 is Alice, etc., etc., etc. Okay? Now, while they're racing, I also figured this out. This is quite interesting. While they're moving, I'm going to do this. Racers I dot write racers I dot nickname. Remember, I just gave every racer a property called nickname. Okay? And we set that up in the setup function here. Now let's run that. See if it works. Okay. So every racer has a nickname. And we can see that Max is the winner. Now I'm only doing that to help me debug the game. But can you use that idea to code the display result function and display the name of the winning turtle? Have a go.